Uh, Fellow leaders, members of the media, I think it's also important that we go back a little bit further in understanding the events prior to these two motions being made. I feel personally that I think it was very disrespectful of, in the memory of Sir Julius, because as you know, these two amendments were moved previously. There was some opposition. And you'll find that with government, when it comes to constitutional amendments, the members in government caucus, if they want to object, they basically don't turn up to give them what had happened, I think, yesterday was very opportunistic of the government, using the condolence occasion for Sir Julius, which I think most of the members of parliament turned up to show their respects. They realized they had the numbers and it was difficult for their members to leave. So they brought both motions to the floor. In fact, if you go back to your footage, you'll find that it was a last-minute decision. You could see the Prime Minister signaling to the leader of government business, Mr. Sir Julius, to bring both motions forward. Now, the net effect is that, and this is the thing, I find it really hypocritical that a lot of the members of parliament, particularly in government, spoke very nicely about the founding fathers, and they forget that the founding fathers wrote this book, basically adopting and on the same day, 1 minute after praising the wisdom of the founding fathers, they then found that their wisdom wasn't sufficient, and they decided to amend it. Not once, but twice, within a space of about 10 minutes. And that's probably some kind of record in the entire world where a constitution is amended twice in the space of 10 minutes. So I think I felt I had to say that, because the other thing is that Sir Julius was a member of the opposition. If he was here, he would have opposed the changes. And so I thought it was very hypocritical for them to say one thing in his language, and then their actions are then totally contrary. I thought that was really disrespectful. But moving on, just to affirm what the opposition deputy leader has said, the fact of the matter is that these constitutional changes are intended just to support one. And I want the Christians out there to understand it. The amendment to the Constitution for Christianity is actually, in my view, it contravenes Section 35 of the Constitution. The people that wrote this Constitution, and the father of the Constitution is still alive today, Dr. John. And I think the media should actually interview this great man, get his thoughts on it, what they were thinking when they wrote the Constitution. Why did they do what they did? I think that what we've done yesterday was totally disrespectful of all the founding fathers. The Constitution should only be amended when absolutely necessary. And the other thing is that we shouldn't make it very easy to amend the Constitution like the way we are doing it. This is really easy. You'll find that, and if you go and you check with members of government, you'll find that they're getting ready to pay them DSIP and PSIP funds now in this parliament. And I feel that that's an inducement to force them to come pick up the money and then to go. And in support of all of these faulty legislations, faulty amendments. It's wrong. And therefore we need to stand up for it. I think that's the key message. And you've got your loyal opposition here. We intend to stand up for it. So, again, in memory and out of respect for our founding fathers, we need to stand up for it. The Constitution is actually meant to protect the people from politicians. Now you find politicians are amending the Constitution to suit themselves, working against the people. And the people of Papua New Guinea need to understand this. Constitution is only writing or protecting Jupla. No kind of passing with Mitla or Glowogin now. That's what it's there for. Constitutions around the world are meant to protect the people, not members of parliament. The amendment to Section 145 is to protect one man, the Prime Minister. It essentially eliminates, this amendment eliminates all of your potential votes of no confidence. Notwithstanding, you have the private business committee, which was put in place to prevent votes of no confidence in the first place. And on top of all of that, so now you only have one opportunity, essentially, when you think about it, in every term of parliament for a vote of no confidence. The right to dissent, the right to disagree with the government was essentially removed yesterday. So now, what it means is that members of parliament are becoming powerless to change a government. To change a government, the people have to do it on the streets. That's basically what that means yesterday. And it's something that, if you remember, when we stood outside in the front of the house, and Sir Julius himself, he said it, and you can go back and dig up your archives. He said this: he is afraid that the people will change the government themselves from the street. And so that's what that amendment, the net effect of that amendment will do. It will force changes of government out in the street, not on the floor. Very clear. And that is essentially what the Constitution was trying to do when the founding fathers were in. And I think, as members of the opposition, we have a duty to take it to the court and to put it in front of our Supreme Court. And I believe our Supreme Court will rule in favor of the Constitution. Give me background more than something. Give me some opinion. You ask you call him name of a member of parliament. The public will say, I'm corrupt. The man will steal. The man will make this. Basically, name of the. And then we are the same people that decide to protect them. So it's self-interest and it's war. So I think the judges will welcome us taking this to them for an interpretation. And I think we need to do it, because so making them know another man more than and the question needs to be answered, and it needs to be settled once and for all. And that's why we're doing it. We're not doing it now for ourselves. We are doing it to protect the rights of future leaders who might come. Because here's the problem. Initially, if you remember amendment of section 145, increase already got 3 years. Initially, it was 6 years protection law, 6 months, sorry, protection law of Prime Minister. That was increased to 18 months. When nobody challenged it, it's like 18 months here, now we have come up lawyer. Nobody challenged it. So that 18 months has now become a permanent change in the Constitution. None of us can challenge it anymore, because nobody did. We run out of time to challenge. Now, this amendment is supposed to be challenging. Basically, as the Deputy Opposition Leader says, it only gives the opportunity for one vote of no confidence. So we have to challenge it. If we don't, it becomes a permanent fixture. Just like the 18 months change has now become permanent because nobody challenges. So I just want the people to understand why we are challenging. And the dangers that we face if we don't challenge. And also the issue on the Christian bill. The Constitution under Section 45 guarantees the freedom of religion. Your choice. The change yesterday pushes us towards a fundamentalist Christian state. Now, we all know the problems we have with fundamental churches of any kind, whether they be Muslim or Christian, or it doesn't matter. And so we need to protect ourselves, all of us, from this kind of religious extremism. And therefore, we have to challenge that amendment. Every Papua New Guinean, and even people who choose to become citizens of Papua New Guinea, must have the right of freedom of worship, to like law. We cannot use a constitution to force everyone into one religion. Other countries have done that, and we can see the damage that has been done to those sorts of countries. We can't go down the same path.